Kieran Culkin was born into a family that was already touched by fame. His older brother, Macaulay Culkin, had become a household name through the Home Alone movies, and it seemed like young Kieran was destined to follow a similar path. But unlike Macaulay, who exploded into worldwide fame, Kieran took a slower, more deliberate route into acting. Growing up in New York City, Kieran was surrounded by both opportunity and challenge. His father, Kit Culkin, had worked as a stage actor and manager, and his mother, Patricia Brentrup, raised the children in a home where creativity was encouraged, but structure was often lacking. This unstable environment shaped much of Kieran's early personality, making him both cautious and emotionally sensitive. As a child actor, Kieran made his film debut in Home Alone, playing the cousin, Fuller, and though the role was small, it left a lasting impression on audiences. After that, he took roles in various films throughout the 1990s, including Father of the Bride and the Mighty, which helped him build a steady reputation as a skilled young actor. Despite this early success, Kieran never chased stardom. He often spoke about how uncomfortable he felt in the spotlight and how the pressures of the entertainment industry affected his family. Watching his older brother struggle with fame made Kieran more reserved and careful about the roles he took. He valued art over fame and wanted to be seen as an actor, not a celebrity. In his teenage years, Kieran stepped away from the public, choosing instead to focus on finding his voice as an artist. It was not until his breakout performance in the film Igby Goes Down that critics began to recognize his true potential. This role earned him a Golden Globe nomination and marked the beginning of a new phase in his career, one that focused on depth, complexity, and emotionally driven characters. Over the next decade, Kieran became known for his subtle yet powerful performances. He was not the kind of actor who demanded attention, but the kind who earned it quietly. He appeared in indie films, stage productions, and television roles that allowed him to express himself without the pressure of blockbuster fame. Then came Succession, the HBO series that would change everything for Kieran. His portrayal of Roman Roy, the sharp-tongued and emotionally fragile youngest son of a powerful media mogul, earned him widespread acclaim. Fans were captivated by his layered performance and his ability to switch between sarcasm and vulnerability with ease. Suddenly, Kieran Culkin was no longer in the shadow of his brother or anyone else. He had become a force in his own right. Still, Kieran remained grounded. He continued to avoid the glamour of Hollywood parties or tabloids, instead focusing on his family, his craft, and his passion for meaningful projects. This personal integrity is what made his later collaboration with Emma Stone so powerful and so unexpected. But before we reach that turning point, we must first understand who Emma Stone was to Kieran, and how their shared history would lead to a film that transformed his career and ultimately brought him to the Oscar. Emma Stone has always been one of the most beloved and respected actresses in Hollywood. Known for her charm, depth, and versatility, she has played roles that range from lighthearted comedies to deeply emotional dramas. What many people do not know, however, is that behind the scenes, she has often served as a source of support, inspiration, and encouragement for those around her, including fellow actors. Like Kieran Culkin, Emma's own journey into acting was marked by determination and resilience. Born in Arizona, she moved to Los Angeles at a young age with dreams of making it big. After small roles in television and supporting parts in teen movies, she finally gained major recognition with the film Easy A, and went on to win an Academy Award for La La Land. Despite her fame, Emma remained grounded. Much like Kieran, she has always valued authentic human connection over superficial fame, and this shared perspective is what brought her and Kieran close. The two first met during early casting events and mutual friend gatherings in the late 2000s, where they quickly discovered their similar outlooks on the industry and life. Although their relationship was never the center of tabloid attention, their bond was genuine. For a brief time they were romantically involved, though they both kept their connection private, out of respect for each other's boundaries and careers. In interviews, Kieran has hinted at the importance of a few key people who helped him navigate difficult decisions, and those who helped him believe in his talent. Emma was one of those people. They stayed in touch even after their relationship ended, remaining close friends and confidants. Emma often provided Kieran with creative advice, helping him evaluate scripts, think through character arcs, and even push past the self-doubt that sometimes held him back. She had a talent for seeing potential in people, especially when they could not see it in themselves. When the idea for the film A Real Pain came up, Kieran was unsure about whether he wanted to take on such an emotionally demanding role. The film dealt with themes of grief, regret, and brotherhood, topics that hit close to home for Kieran. He hesitated for months, unsure whether he had the emotional energy or confidence to carry such a story. That is when Emma stepped in. According to sources close to the actors, Emma read the script and immediately knew it was something special. She told Kieran that this was the kind of role that could define his career, that his unique emotional sensitivity would bring the character to life in a way no one else could. She reminded him that real growth often comes from pain, and that hiding from difficult roles would only hold him back. In a later interview, Kieran himself admitted that Emma helped him say yes to the role, and that without her encouragement he may never have taken the risk. He said, "She reminded him of who he was, and what he was capable of, and that made all the difference." This moment marked a turning point in Kieran's life and career. A Real Pain was not just another acting job, it was a challenge that required deep vulnerability and emotional truth, the kind of work that only someone who had grown through hardship could pull off. And Emma knew he was ready. Their connection showed the power of quiet friendship, and how encouragement from the right person at the right time can shape a future in ways no one expects. Emma Stone was not just a former partner in Kieran's life. She was a creative ally who helped guide him toward a moment of greatness. The film titled A Real Pain was not just another project for Kieran Culkin. It became a deeply emotional journey that challenged him as both an actor and a person. The story revolved around two estranged brothers who traveled to Eastern Europe after the death of their grandmother, confronting not only their shared grief but also years of unresolved pain, misunderstanding and distance. At first, Kieran was hesitant to take on the project. Even though the script was honest, powerful, and beautifully written, the role required him to open old wounds, both personal and professional. It was not just about acting but about revealing a side of himself that he usually kept hidden from the public and even from himself. Emma Stone played a pivotal role in making this film happen. Although she was not acting in the film, her influence was present from the very beginning. She had already read the script and believed it was perfect for Kieran. She helped him see the emotional core of the story, and reassured him that vulnerability was not weakness but rather a strength that few actors possessed. Emma encouraged Kieran to meet with the film's director, who was also the screenwriter and had poured his own experiences into the story. The director wanted someone who could embody quiet sorrow, someone who could show pain without shouting, and this was exactly what Emma believed Kieran could do better than anyone. When Kieran finally agreed to take the role, the film entered the early stages of development. Emma continued to offer feedback during script readings and rehearsals, helping Kieran understand the emotional layers of his character. She asked him questions that pushed him to think deeper. Why was this character broken? What did he fear most? Why did he run from connection? These conversations helped Kieran unlock something within himself. The shooting process was not easy. The film was shot in real locations across Eastern Europe, and the environment itself added to the emotional heaviness. Kieran described the experience as physically and emotionally draining, saying that each scene felt like digging up parts of himself he had long buried, but he also said it was liberating and transformational. During breaks between filming, Kieran and Emma stayed in contact often, exchanging voice notes and late-night calls where they discussed scenes, motivations, and emotional truths. Emma's presence, even from afar, kept him grounded. She reminded him to trust the process, to trust the pain, and to remember why he said yes in the first place. The crew members also noticed how deeply Kieran had immersed himself in the role. He was not playing the character, he had become the character. There were days when he would stay in character long after the camera stopped, rolling not out of habit but because the story had become personal. He later admitted that the film had brought him face to face with his own struggles with grief, anxiety, and connection. Critics who attended early screenings were stunned by the emotional depth of Kieran's performance. One review described it as hauntingly real, another called it a quiet masterpiece driven by a soul-bearing performance. Viewers saw a side of Kieran Culkin they had never seen before, raw, honest, and deeply human. Emma Stone never took credit publicly for her role in guiding Kieran through the journey, but Kieran made sure to thank her in private and eventually